a bunch. And we're not saying let's throw these other guys because most people just play their defense. Nobody just says, well, we'll play him bump and run, the guy over the top of him, and zone up the rest of the field. No, not many coaches do that. So Alshon's, he's just running usually against the other team's defense.
Hey, Coach, Brandon Boykin's a pretty dynamic player. He scored a touchdown for Georgia on offense this week. He could be a wild card in a really close game between your team. Is that one of the players you're concerned about to stop this weekend?
Yeah, we know he's out there. He ran a kickoff back 2 years ago, and he ran an 80-yard run last week. So we've got to try to contain him. And if we kick it to him, we got to cover very well, and so forth. Yeah, we know who he is, and he's a big play guy. I think he said, 5 returns for TDs? We've had 1 now. We're on the way. I tell you, that was a close call on the clip in midfield, too. As soon as it happened, I said, might as well just go on down, Ace. This one's coming back. But we looked up, there was no flag, so we had some real good fortune on that call.
Steve, you kind of brushed over the point spread thing, but that's pretty unusual around here to be favored at Georgia, and you might be favored in every single game you play this year. What's it like going?
Not the way we played last week. We've got to play a lot better. Yeah.
What's it like going in a very short time from being a frequent underdog every Saturday to being a team that's going to get everyone's best shot every Saturday?
Oh, I think we always get everybody's best shot, to tell you the truth, and the only thing in our minds is how lousy our team played last week. I mean, it was a pretty sloppy game defensively, offensively. 2 fumbles on special teams. Other than that, they played very well. But we had 2 penalties on 2 big returns. Bruce ran it up to midfield, had a holding or pushing the back on that, and then a punt return. We had a pushing the back there. So they called it an illegal alignment when Joey punted the ball, his best one of the night, and then he hit a high shanker in the next one. I think we lost 40 yards in that exchange. So we played almost like we could have gotten. Well, we did play like we could have easily lost the game. And fortunately, East Carolina fumbled it to us. We didn't have to go 80 yards every drive. We'd had to go on 80, and they stayed on the field and moved the ball like they did. We'd been in serious trouble. But fortunately, they kept fumbling to us there, and we were able to get the lead. So anyway, we got to play a lot better before we think we're hot stuff. That's what I'm trying to say. We're not very hot right now. We're just an average bunch of guys out there right now. Yeah.
After watching the film on ECU, impressions of your defense and specifically on Jadeveon Clowney.
JD played pretty good. I think he had 7 tackles or so and some hurries. But defensively, no, we didn't play like we're capable. They completed 37 passes, 21 first downs, and scored touchdowns 5 out of 6 times in the red zone. We couldn't even hold them to field goals, so no, we didn't. We were very fortunate to win the game with all that.
Steve, when you're coming off a game where you had a lot of fumbles, how do you approach that the next week in practice?
Yeah, see, 2 of them were on the special teams. Connor had one, and Marcus spun around. The guy hit him right on the ball. We've been pretty good about taking care of the ball. We'll do our ball security drills. But like I said, we only had 1 fumble by a running back or wide receiver. So, yeah, if our running backs and receivers were catching it and fumbling, we have to have a little talk, I guess. But anyway, we need to be careful with the ball, certainly. Yeah.
Georgia runs the 3-4 just like East Carolina, but how does Georgia execute their 3-4 differently than East Carolina based on what you've seen on film?
Yeah, they move around a little differently. It's probably more of a 3 guys with their hand on the ground and a stand-up guy. A little bit like a 4-3 type scheme, a little bit. They don't put a pure nose guard and 2 defensive ends. So there's 3 guys with their hand on the ground, but they're not a nose guard right over the center very often. So it looks like a 4-3, but one guy's standing up. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, it does.
All right, you know a little football then.
Obviously, you don't like falling behind 17-0. What did you learn about your team? Even the other time this year when you fall behind and you have to round
Yeah.
back. What did you learn about your team last week?
Well, I learned that it's always beneficial if the other team fumbles to you 3 times in a row. That's what we learned too. But it was good for us. It really was. Most times we get behind around here and guys going to jar a little bit or just can't come out of it. So it was good. Yeah, it was good to be down 17-0 and come back. And hopefully, mentally, we can do that in the fourth quarter. We need to come from behind in the fourth quarter. That would be the real key for us to win a game like that. So we'll keep working on it and see if we can make a play to come from behind and win some in the fourth quarter. I mean, you look at Auburn. We were watching a tape today, Georgia and Mississippi State. Somebody started talking about that Auburn-Mississippi State game. Auburn beat them 17-14, just barely squeezed by them. And they must have 5 or 6 games like that in the course of the year. So that's how you have a big year. Because we're certainly not a whole lot better than anybody, and hopefully they're not a whole lot better than us. And so much can happen in football now. So much can happen. Watching the boys in the Georgia game, Georgia kids dropped 2 or 3 passes that might have, they got a first down on the 30, or they're punting from midfield because of a drop pass. If they catch those, who knows how it turns around. And that ball's all over the place now, so it's getting to where 2 or 3 big plays, or you don't make the play, determine the winner. The best team doesn't always win in football. Sometimes you can play pretty doggone well, and the big plays went to the other guy, or a bad play happened somehow for you. So you just got, you just try to keep playing and try not to let the other guy get the big play, and you try to make some yourself, which is fortunately what happened to us the other night after we got behind, started making some big plays, so forth.
Anything else for Coach?
Yeah.
Josh. Last one.
Demir Bird.
Don't know yet. We'll find out as the week progresses on Demir. Okay. All right. See y'all later.